How's it going, kiddos? Handsome Jack Boy here, bringing you guys the 9th episode of my Borderlands Dust Waste Pearlescent Weapons Guide. And in this episode, I'm going to be covering the Thermogenesis. The Thermogenesis is a Maliwan rocket launcher, and the prefix for mine is SPC-220TG Combustion Thermogenesis. And in this case, the prefix for you guys won't change, or at least the combustion part, as combustion is the only legitimate prefix for this weapon. Now, as you can see there in the red text, it says, "Our world will burn until its surface is but glass." So the Thermogenesis, just like with the one-shot, which was the last dust waste pearlescent weapon that I've covered, this thing is pretty sophisticated in terms of its special effect and what it actually does. So instead of talking about what it does right here, I'm instead going to do that over the gameplay. So let's get right into it. Now, to get right into the juicy stuff with this gun, it's basically a napalm laser. So upon firing this gun, it shoots out a laser beam, which in and of itself doesn't do any damage, but after around a couple seconds, the area at which the laser hit will explode 8 times with a fiery explosion. So you can get an idea of what this thing is like just looking at the footage. As you can see, after you shoot the laser, it remains stationary, which means you might have to lead your target depending on whether or not they're moving. So it does definitely require some skill to get used to. It's obviously not your average rocket launcher. I wouldn't even consider it a rocket launcher. It's kind of its own weapon type in my opinion. But yeah, this thing is just amazeballs, man. Anyways, let's get into the specs of the weapon, you know, the nitty-gritty technical stuff, so you guys know exactly what this thing is capable of. Now, starting off with the parts, the unique parts of the weapon consist of the barrel, accessory, and material. In this case, the accessory doesn't really do much, apart from give it a boost to its fire damage. One thing you'll obviously notice with this weapon is its skin. It actually has a animated skin to it, which, mind you, is sexy as fuck. Excuse the language there. I just gotta express how sexy this gun is. It really is just gorgeous to look at. It's as though lava is running through the weapon, and it really does fit this thing quite nicely. It definitely is a nice touch, and not to mention the custom sound effects that it has. Hearing that laser beam and then hearing the explosions that come right after is just great. So talking about this thing's stat modifiers, the first of which is the plus 100% critical hit damage that this thing has, which you might be a bit surprised and confused by, you know, especially considering this thing is technically a rocket launcher, even though it's really not. It's still unheard of to have that on a rocket launcher, but this thing can indeed get critical hits. You basically have to get the explosions to detonate where the enemy's crit spot is for it to trigger, so you do have to be pretty precise, and it's definitely best done on larger targets, especially if they're stationary. Other things that it has includes a huge increase to its raw damage, 100% pitch perfect accuracy and recoil reduction, so you can pretty much be as precise as you need to be. It gains increased magazine size to compensate for the 8 ammo that it uses up per shot. It gets a really big increase to its fire damage, but it also takes a considerable hit to its rate of fire. Well, there you guys have it. That was the nitty-gritty of the Thermogenesis. Last but not least, I do want to give my thoughts on this weapon and what classes I personally suggest using this weapon on. So the Thermogenesis for me is one of my personal favorites from the Dust Waste arsenal. Next to the one-shot, the satisfaction level that this gun offers is just surreal. I don't think I've encountered such a unique weapon in Borderlands, period. And I've honestly got to say pre-sequel lasers have nothing on the Thermogenesis. Yes, that was indeed shots fired. Nothing against the pre-sequel lasers, though. They're cool in their own right. But the Thermogenesis, at least in my opinion, just completely blows the pre-sequel lasers out of the water. And this footage really doesn't do it justice either. You really have to try the weapon for yourself to know what I'm talking about. But if I had to choose a class or classes that this weapon would be best on, I'm sure this thing would work quite well on all classes, but there are classes that are better to use this on than others. I think Mordecai would have to be the least best class, just considering the fact that he doesn't specialize in this sort of weapon. But if I had to choose between Roland, Lilith, and Brick, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you which one is the best. Roland just being an overall good character for really any weapon, and having that ammo regen with this thing would be nice because of the fact it does consume a pretty hefty amount of ammo per shot. You're going to see yourself running out of ammo a lot. Brick would also be a good choice because he specializes in rocket launchers and does benefit from rocket launcher ammo regen in particular. And then of course Lilith would be a good choice considering the fact that she specializes in elemental damage with the right setup. I can see her being a super efficient class. The only thing she would lack though is that ammo regen. So it's really up to you and your personal preference to decide which one is the best. But anyways, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'm out of here. Peace!